Imagine getting woken up at 2 a.m. by a sound that doesn't belong in a quiet apartment. Not a phone ringing, not a neighbor. A low, aching howl, raw and desperate, coming from downstairs. Macy's eyes snapped open before her brain fully caught up. For a second, she thought she was dreaming, but then the baby monitor on her nightstand crackled again, and Bella's cries filled the room like an alarm you can't ignore. Macy threw the blanket off, stumbled into old jogging pants and the first t-shirt she could grab, and hurried down the stairs with her heart pounding so hard it felt like it was pushing her forward, because she already knew what that sound meant. Bella was in labor. Bella wasn't just a dog at the shelter, not to Macy. She was the dog that arrived when the shelter was at its worst, short on hands, short on money, short on space. The kind of day where people start saying words you never want to hear in an animal rescue. We might not be able to keep her. Bella had come in pregnant, exhausted and skittish, like she'd learned the world wasn't safe. And in those first moments, when most people saw a problem, Macy saw a life that had already fought too hard to lose. Macy was new to the job, inexperienced, the second-week employee, but she couldn't shake the feeling that if she didn't step in, nobody would. So she did. She volunteered for the late hours. She took on extra tasks. And when the shelter head finally sighed and said, "Fine, you take her," Macy didn't hesitate. She brought Bella home, even though her apartment was small, her budget was tight, and her life was already stretched thin. And now, in the harsh light of the early morning, Macy stood in front of Bella's delivery area with towels in her hands and a bucket of warm water, trying to stay calm. Bella's tongue hung out as she panted. Her eyes looked glossy, not just from pain, but from exhaustion. Macy knelt beside her. "You're okay," she whispered. "I'm right here." In the back of Macy's mind, the vet's warning echoed. He'd seen something odd on the ultrasound. "They look odd, not like a normal litter," he had said, his voice trailing off with a concern that made Macy's skin crawl. Now, as Bella strained, Macy tried to focus. 30 minutes passed, then an hour. Then finally, the first puppy was crowning. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay, Bella. You've got this." A few more pushes, and the first puppy slid into the towel in Macy's hands. Macy's smile appeared before her brain even processed what she was looking at. And then the smile froze, because the little newborn didn't look like a puppy the way she expected. The coat pattern wasn't golden like Bella. It was spotted, bold, dark, and pale patches, like someone had painted the fur in strange, uneven shapes. Her confusion sharpened into a cold, prickling disbelief. It looked impossibly like a tiny cow. "Bella," she whispered, her stomach dropping. She cleaned the puppy gently, rubbing it to get it breathing, but her mind was spiraling. Mixed breeds could surprise you, but this looked like something from a farm. She barely had time to think before Bella pushed again, and another puppy arrived. And it looked just like the first. Spotted, strange, unsettling. With every birth, the room felt more unreal. By 4:30 a.m., Macy's body felt like it was made of shaking wire. Beside Bella, the entire litter, 7 newborns, lay in tiny bundles. 7 cow puppies. Macy sat on the floor, staring, as the sky outside began to lighten. Her brain kept trying to explain it away. Maybe it was the lighting. Maybe the fur would look normal when it dried. But when the sun finally pushed into the room, the truth stayed the same. Macy didn't trust herself to sleep. She stayed awake, watching for every tiny movement, every breath. When the shelter vet arrived later that morning, Macy was already waiting at the door. At the shelter, she carried the bundles inside with a protective urgency. She didn't realize she was holding her breath until she saw the vet's face. He raised an eyebrow the moment he looked into the box. They look like... I don't know what they look like," Macy stammered. The vet held up a hand gently. "Let's check everyone first," he said. He examined their paws, faces, and ears. He watched how they moved. Finally, he straightened up, his voice softening. "I think I know what this is." Macy's stomach twisted. "What are they?" The vet pointed to the spots. Bella likely mated with a Dalmatian. Those spots can show up strongly. Macy stared. "But they look like cows." He nodded. "That part is likely because they were born prematurely, almost a month early." Macy felt her whole body go cold. "Premature?" she repeated. "Yes," the vet said. "They're underdeveloped. Their features look exaggerated or unusual right now. It means they're early and fragile." Suddenly, the spots weren't funny or bizarre. They were a sign that these puppies had arrived too soon into a world that wasn't ready for them. But the vet offered a glimmer of hope. "We can care for them here. They have a good chance." Macy didn't realize tears were coming until they dropped onto her hands. Relief leaked out after a night of pure tension. Days passed. The puppies grew. The sharp, cow-like look faded as their bodies developed into what they had always been: healthy, energetic, spotted pups. Within 2 weeks, every single puppy had found a home. Families fell in love with their unique spots and their story of survival. But when the last puppy was adopted, the shelter felt strangely empty. Macy looked at Bella. Bella had history in her eyes. She had survived the streets and a difficult pregnancy. Macy understood what she'd been trying not to admit. She didn't want to give Bella back. She wanted Bella to finally have a home that didn't disappear. So Macy adopted her. It wasn't easy, and money was still tight, but Macy had made her choice the moment she heard that first howl at 2 a.m. Bella still visits the shelter with Macy now, walking the halls with calm confidence. That night taught Macy that sometimes the scariest moments are just the beginning of the best ending. Sometimes what looks not normal at first is just life arriving early, asking you to be brave enough to help it survive.